Killing Time and Resurrecting the Dreamer. After weeks of slowing my usage down since that silly psychic Pisces moon misadventure, I was in limerence when my sober pseudo friend inspired me to take a 5-day break from ganja. I woke up this morning after another several days off with some dream recall. And now this notebook has another very personally important reason to be in my hand. It's going to be beside me here from now on, or wherever I'm sleeping. I'll write down my dreams before they disappear from memory. I'll write my way to essence discipline. Like my song, Write It Out. Dream recalls lead to lucidity, and then I'll have a greater capacity of actual confidence to remote view, to get outside of this identification as being only in this flesh suit through fear and trauma or however that occurred. Honestly, I love ganja, and it is a very powerful medicine, of course. But I've used it daily for over 20 years, and after 33 years of experimenting with it, I can see where it has served me greatly, as well as has held me back. And that is in the sleep cycle. No, I'm not going to sit here and tell you it makes you dumb or any other stupid shit like that. I'm going to say it ruins your ability to remember dreams, at least for me. Apparently it fucks with the subtle R.E.M, or R.E.M cycle, and that is where we dream. So now, I'm happy to report I'm getting my dreams back. My night dreams. Admittedly, I did click on my recent infatuation. I was probably stoned. Yeah, it can either strengthen your will or, weaken it. It all depends on what's already in your subconscious mind, And this female dog rescuer's videos, once I clicked on one to tell you the truth, since the emails I sent her, and watched a minute, but I listened to I read the closed captions with the sound off because I didn't want to start cussing at her. Hypocrisy. Just seeming so empathic. So in her nearly infinite narcissistic ambition and repressed empathy, instead of emailing me back like a human, she made a silly video about how cannabis legalization was a reverse psychology extension of the DARE program, which kind of makes me think she's on the autistic spectrum. The DARE program's talking to second graders, me being one of them, about crack, the idea that if you smoke one joint, you'll become a crackhead. That's what they told us. And she has a good point in saying this put it in our subconscious mind. There were pictures of her in that video, in that minute or two, I happened to just find that. There were pictures of her stoned and now sober. It's weird. I had already noticed I wasn't actually attracted to her stoned version. She did seem confused and out of it before she quit. And no, dumbass. Ganja doesn't kill brain cells. That's a lie. But especially in those unaware of the quality of their medicine, or especially with no healthy relationship to it, such as, growing it yourself. The mentally ill, and especially narcissists, it often causes confusion. Using outdoor organic or preferably greenhouse grown weed so that you don't have all the filth they put in the sky in it is completely different from consuming commercial indoor products and getting very paranoid from that fake weed. It does reduce or temporarily remove symptoms or signs of deadly diseases such as the ones I've had to deal with. In my practice of ganja alchemy, I also, of course, developed a huge tolerance to the point where smoking it could do more than eating and smoking it, because my liver is so used to it, it could be unaffected by consuming, 100 milligram squirt, 100 milligrams of THC squirts from a tincture. Definitely a moment to at least take a tolerance break. For me, though, going into doing dream and astral work is why I've quit again, and I'm happily dreaming now. And I don't think you could achieve that in 2 days if you don't taper off as I did before that. Where I'd only smoke or take a capsule and smoke maybe once a day on occasion. Not more than twice a day ever, but once a day. As an empathic person with a high IQ, I've never thought it was making me dumb, but I gradually acknowledge the truth. Needing any external thing, even a plant, even something the Creator gave us to use as medicine, having to need that every day to be myself is not good. In this, the self-possessed, sober researcher woman did inspire me to face that truth. She was talking about emotional regulation and how lame it was to need something like a plant to have emotional regulation. That's definitely true. Well, she even quit caffeine. Congratulations. But that, not that she's ever going to watch any of my videos out of full fear, or if she does, I'll never know. But this is still me on Joe. Yeah, I've got caffeine, cold brew in my head. For my friend whose YouTube channel is called Toxic Tiger Butterfly, however, I might recommend daily ganja if he took people out or witnessed such things in war as this same, unless he was somehow in some remote place pressing buttons where he wasn't on the front lines, as this same thing holding me back will be good, is good for veterans. For veterans to sleep without these REM cycles causing PTSD nightmares. It's great for that. I met a veteran years ago who spent most of his disability money on and consumed a shit ton of MDMA or ecstasy the first weekend of the month, and he told me that it helped him forget the memory of killing people. Ganja is surely a way healthier medicine for this purpose. For me, I was sick of never dreaming. I knew I was missing something with that. Because, as I just subscribed. Thank you, algorithm, for putting him on my feed. I just subscribed to this great channel that began to be about lucid dreaming, and now it's mostly about the Hell Realm Loosh Farm, called Schizo Dumps with a Z. Schizo Dumps. Great channel. And it teaches you methods of lucid dreaming in the first videos. I only had one lucid dream myself in the past on the 7th night of a tolerance break. So here goes. As a person who plays music and is really a 48-year-old virgin with and probably because of physical, even infectious disease, I never thought I'd quit. As for me, cannabis seems to give self-confidence along with, killing this disease temporarily and relaxing along with that relaxing and/or aphrodisiacal quality. As it was legalized here in the state of California, for example, I'd gotten my prescription for a decade prior to that. It became more of a daily medicine, or it was already, but and less of a massive addiction unless my grower or dealer friend is around, which has gotten increasingly seldom, where I'd smoke a bunch of fatties with him. Aside from that very rare occurrence, it would be like, I'd smoke one bowl in the morning and one bowl in the evening on occasion. But what am I like with no drugs? As I've said, if you take ganja all the time and never take a tolerance break, a lot of folks think they are as laid back as they seem on cannabis, or as horny, as unworried, as self-confident as they seem. My wealthy Zen-loving landlord acquaintance Jeff told me once, learn to walk without that crutch. That kind of disturbed my mind a little bit, but I didn't quit. Ganja is very good, but addiction to anything is often very bad. I've also noticed how the archons quite often use it, and every drug, not just meth, but every drug, particularly alcohol, but even ganja, plant or synthetics, especially synthetics, to loosh or control humans and flunk relationships and make it so that the fake-ass, disgusting interdimensional parasites are, puppeting us and controlling us with our addiction and controlling our relationships. To addicts and other unaware minds, the archons can just drag you through the muck of addiction and false self-trauma bonded situationships, draining your essence over and over and over, looshing you dry to your just drained over and over, ad nauseum. The stupid thing is, due to my teenage depression, I didn't think as a sick single boy man I could get creative without it. Bullshit. That's one of its seductive lies. When you think about it, although ganja is a great medicine, one of its greatest things is self-preservation, preserving its own future by creating the perception of need for it. I mean, it does such a great job of getting rid of illness temporarily and relaxing you. It makes people think they need it. And so one of its greatest talents is protecting its own future. And with daily use, this amplification of whatever's in your mind, this amplification of creativity won't even work after a while. It won't really amplify your creativity with tolerance. That is also why it fucked her up. Ganja will magnify whatever is in your subconscious mind. So this is why some people can never enjoy it ever, because of the horrors in their mind. Years ago, like when I first got to Santa Cruz, was in a heavy November rainstorm in 2003. I met an old man with a long flowing beard collecting cans who'd also been a serious student of Carlos Castaneda's books. He'd actually grown ganja. He'd actually grown guerrilla-grown cannabis in the Santa Cruz Mountains with using deer dung, and he'd stay for weeks or months close to harvest, alone with his plants up here for weeks at a time to keep them safe from theft. It was decent. I mean, his weed was all right. I mean, kind of had the fear in it a little too much for me, but he'd also learned lucid dreaming and done past life regression therapy. He said that's essential in from his perspective in healing. He collected cans and we'd talk for a while every time I ran into him about these important topics. We'd go into a little bit of conversational timelessness to share some metaphysical facts. So why did I mention Alonzo here? I wonder if he's still alive. Well, my friend who called himself L.C. Walker, or short for Little Creek Walker, would tell me, you can kill the dreamer, but you can't kill the dream. Now, what did that mean? Meaning, the false self-demiurge, in other words, can cause this sick hell on earth, this trauma-bonded, endless war, hijack, and memory wipe system we call the Loosh Farm, Hell Realm Matrix. But he cannot destroy our essences, our true spirits. You can't kill the dreamer. The dreamer, the creation of the Anthropos before these filthy Wetiko, Anunnaki, amazing, tyrannical geneticists, junior god tyrants, and in my opinion, the Archons got here. The creation of the Anthropos is eternal. In other words, the original Namulu human race, the essences that got in these flesh suits before the fucking slave matrix. Until we're, really ready for full emergence back with the Creator. We don't need any more individuality. We don't need any more experiences. If that ever happens, if you're sick of your independence. I mean, I don't know if that's even real. When I was younger, before the financial slavery heightened its grip and tightened its sick, perverted control grip with the invisible hand of the market, making it all a lot more suffering, I'd occasionally hear people say, I'm killing time. As a mentally Kronos-crushing truth teller, this statement has taken a whole other meaning recently. So when I was taking a hot shower in the Midtown Santa Cruz shower truck yesterday, my Mayan cosmology got triggered. The archon that, my identity, which is where they can hook you and who you think you are. It got triggered when they gave me the 5-minute knock, and I wasn't really ready to get out of the shower in 5 minutes. And my Mayan Zolkin day sign says, I'm guided by the power of timelessness. This really struck a chord with me as true. So my archon that I haven't completely gotten rid of activated my rebel, and I did resist it, and I started going on and talking a bunch of trash about how Kronos is a fake tyrant killer god who stole his power by forcing us into his clock, or the swords of the Glock system, as I call it. And, it seemed as though the people running the thing were ignoring me until right before I was gotten all my stuff together and I was getting ready to leave. The person who seemed to be very conservative and stuck in the clock said, "All right, 5 minutes or so." I was like, wow, my shit-talking mental illness, or, Heyoka, actually helped her to pull out of that filth. Well, even though I apologized to them to talking trash, I was, impressed that worked on her subconscious to realize it was fake. How much stress induced cancer, for example, has resulted from, everyone being forced onto the clock? A lot. The clock is absolutely fake. And I would even say induces violence. For example, car accidents caused by road rage or just, because they're running and not paying. They can't pay perfect attention in that state of running late. And heaven forbid you're late. You get fired or miss opportunities. Missed the bus, missed the train. I was fired from 2 jobs as a youngster for being 5 minutes late. Did I deserve that, or is Kronos a tyrant that eats us all? I mean, if your boss doesn't fire you for being 5 minutes late, then Kronos isn't such a killer now, is it? It depends on your company and how they react. There's those that can work within the system and not be destroyed by time, but it's the tendency of the thing to ruin the quality. And yeah, I've never, ever come up with anything at all creative when I was worried about the clock and getting somewhere on time me. Did I deserve to be fired for being 5 minutes late, or is Kronos a tyrant that eats us all if we're on its evil clock? I mean, I'm going to have to forgive myself for not being fully done with that filthy system at this point, because I know that if I really do my best and if I really do my shadow work, especially when it comes to finances or taking care of my flesh suit, then I'm going to get the fuck away from it and almost never have to deal with it. On the other hand, I've done most of my best work in timeless spaces. That's where my creativity has shined. That's where I wrote like the song Hero's Theme. That took me a year of, interacting with timeless spaces to come up with it. Videos, drawings, paintings, writings, all of my best work was all done in the absence of time, in the timeless now space, without that evil devil who eats all his own children. Reject clocks if you dare, by, of course, becoming you could become a professional artist, musician, an entrepreneur, a gypsy crafts person, make your wares and sell them, an independent salesperson, or just work by contract. Just, become a contractor and don't, fuck with hourly wages. Or, of course, even going back further, before it ever existed, you could become a fisherman, a hunter, or some other sovereign activity where you can be your own boss. Time is fake, and stress is known to be the number one killer. What is the number one cause of stress, and thus looshing of all timey? So, even though for me it has been through the filthy back door of disease, it is so important to get off the fucking clock and kill time if you really want to awaken. If we cannot get to the moon or Saturn and destroy their sky clocks, or, share these teachings enough to make the filth passé and violence thus a thing of the past, then starve Kronos here and now in your personal life by quitting time. Even if you were a normal wage slave or property tax slave, kill it for 15 minutes a week through meditation or relaxing. Even if you can kill the fucking clock or get off it for 15 minutes a week, you will notice an improvement in your quality of existence. Even just this may just be a great relief. The dreamer lives on, even in hell on earth, if he can keep dreaming. Resurrect your dreams of freedom, peace, and truth. Flunk, starve, or kill time if you have the courage. It's very important to your peace. In nature, there is no timey aside from the real part of it, such as cycles of night and day and seasons, years. Become like a farmer who only has to deal with time, or in these cycles, or the Mayans who saw it as a celestial artwork that was probably, something they channeled from Christ Sophia, the Tolkien meaning. So, kill the mechanical ropes and resurrect the timeless dreamer, the real God, the goddess artist within you.